Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
The reason why I joined consulting was because I realized at the time of joining, of making a decision around a job, that I have no clue what I wanted to do. And I felt that maybe consulting will give me enough exposure into different industries, just given the nature of work that we do, different cases, different projects, etc., that after 2 years I'll be able to make a choice.
I want to build a career in consulting. Okay. What do I do in the 2 years while I am on campus? How do I prepare to becoming a good consultant?
The skills that we look for are kind of three, which is one is, are you a good problem solver? Whatever the problem, will you at least start solving it, or will you say, yaar, pata nahi kaise hoga?
या crib करूँगा उसके बारे में.
Crib karoge ya kahoge meko nahi pata, I don't know where to start. So that's kind of just one, right? Being able to say, I don't know this problem, but I'll be able to figure it out. That's skill one. It's called problem solving in our parlance, but that's one. All through MBA, you're going to end up doing that. You're going to get such out of the whack problems that you'll need to solve. You will develop that skill. The second is, how do you communicate? If you have the most brilliant idea and you cannot get it across, it is of no use, right? So having the brilliant idea, which is problem solving, can you then get it across and communicate? And that's the other thing that MBA will teach you. What I would suggest is, take the opportunity to present. Take the opportunity to put yourself out there in class, in front of your classmates, in competitions, and whatever else opportunity that you get, because the first 10 times you might be bad, the 11th time you'll be better, right? And that's kind of one of the things that you need to do. Don't get me wrong, there were a few people who said, meko finance karna hai, meko trading desk ke piche baithna hai, main sirf finance ki koshish karunga, I will be technically competent, but I will not do the flair of the presentation. It's not for me, right? And then there were others like me who I was not a good presenter. I still get stage fright. I still do, right? But
You don't seem to be getting it.
yeah, but I still do, right? But at that point of time, it was not as easy. But just putting yourself out there and learning, that's the second thing that I would suggest that you do. And the third thing that we look at is something called effectiveness and impact. Are you driven? Can you do you have the passion, do you have the energy to carry stuff through, or do you take it and let it be, right? This is too hard, I can't do this. And that's the third thing that you will see, and wo sikha denge. The sieving that happens in the first two semesters, in the first two trimesters, is very stark. People who will end up with very good jobs, who will end up at the top 50, 60, 70 ranks, there's a high amount of correlation, and that high amount of correlation is because of, I think, this third one, which is, do you have the energy and the wherewithal to bear what is going to come? And I think it is really exciting. It's a trial by fire for the people who make it through. Just do very, very well.
You also run a company. It's far more difficult to run a P&L as compared to giving advice. So anyway, how is it that one can become a consultant? What are the skills required? How is it that they can prepare?
See, the standard preparation definitely you should do, which is, especially for campus interviews, right? There's 20 minutes, 25 minutes when each interviewer is judging you. So be at the top of your game as far as that case interview prep is concerned. And you'll get enough of this advice once you join college, case books and all of that. What usually strikes me first is, are you able to clearly articulate, right? You might be wrong, which is fine. And so have that mindset even when you go for a case interview. And that's the skill that you're trying to demonstrate. So do not get stressed in the interview, right? Different interviewers have different interviewing styles. Some might want to stress you, some might be extremely candid, but they're observing, the softer aspects. So usually what works is, be yourself. If you're in your natural self, it will work beautifully for you. So don't try to force fit something into an interview construct. At least for consulting, it usually doesn't work.
What do you think are the best parts of being a consultant, and what do you think is not such a great thing about being a consultant?
The good part is, like, as a job, when you're very young, in your early 20s, it throws you in an environment where you are kind of sitting in meetings with senior management. just seeing how they even think used to be a moment of awe for me. And just being thrown into kind of interacting with some of these people was an interesting experience, which I felt like I wouldn't have gotten in a more traditional role. The other good thing, if you care about, is the points that people make when they travel. I didn't make any points. But you travel a lot. The other great part is you jump industries a lot. So you, at least on the surface, like you're spending 6 months working with one client. So you kind of get a good flavor of different industries that you have worked with. The drawback, which also kind of, just the opposite of the strength that I just said, is that you work on the surface. You don't really get to understand an industry in depth. And soon I feel like there is going to be a need for that as well. Considering the whole shift of unicorns now has moved from traditional companies and the focus has come to startups. And people working in consulting don't have that background, right? They have to just learn new things every day, and it is far high, and it is not documented anywhere, which is why I feel like there will be a need even in consulting firms to hire talent from startups, and some of them have started to do it. But coming back to the drawback point is that, you were kind of a lot on the surface, but not really going deep into one industry, unless over like 5 years you spend time only in that industry.
Everybody knows acads are important, but how important, or like, is there some kind of a threshold that companies look at, saying iske niche to we won't look at all?
So usually a hard threshold, very few companies might define. Everyone is usually looking for spikes in the resume. Right? At least some section has to stand out. Now, you'll hear enough myths in this, right? Saying that you have to be a national sports person, or you have to have won like 4 Olympiads, all of that. My resume does not have any of this, right? So there are enough myths that get circulated. In fact, when I was on campus and I used to talk to most of the seniors, they kept saying that, यार तू तो IIT से नहीं है, नहीं होगा यार तेरा. कोई बाद में जाके बोलेगा तू बिट से नहीं होगा. तेरा कोई सीनियर है ही नहीं, उन कंपनीज में नहीं होगा. एंड ये नहीं होगा सुन के ऐसे कुछ ना कुछ तो होगा यार अल्टीमेटली. लेट्स जस्ट डू इट. एंड हो गया ना, मतलब आई गॉट दैट शॉर्ट लिस्ट. And it's not that there were no people from IIT or BITS over there. They were all there, but it came through. Usually, natural selection of at least IIMs and all of them will be that you're meeting the basic criteria as far as acads are concerned. So, if your acads are extremely terrible, then yes, it might be difficult. But then usually you wouldn't be into an IIM. So that's fine.
Have there ever been cases where you promise, say for example, certain amount of results, or you don't get paid or anything of that sort?
When you're doing projects in consulting, that happens. I feel the people who value consultants most are the CXOs, because they value the structure that you bring in, the new way of thinking that you bring in, which in their day-to-day lives, no one in their teams probably has that bandwidth to even look at the larger picture. Everyone's just busy doing their day jobs. The CXOs value a lot, but we as consultants work with the middle management, where there is always, this friction of, like you said, in probably 60% of the cases, you will find that friction. But it also teaches you like a lot of ways to deal with very different kind of people. Like my biggest takeaway from consulting was just, working with easy to difficult people and kind of changing the way I work with each of those to kind of get the work done at the end of the day.
Why do you think a consultant is better placed to figure out company strategy when he's not worked for a single day in that company or in that sector for that matter?
It is never the consultants alone who are getting stuff done. It just doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. The companies that hire us and the clients that I work with, they has to be an innate belief that we're going to do this together, which means that they are bringing the knowledge of their company. I will, of course, gain it over time, but they're bringing the knowledge of their company. I am bringing in external best practices. I'm also bringing in functional expertise that they will not have.
What made you quit consulting?
I'd worked for 5 years in consulting and I wanted to do something else. I think I had kind of grown tired of not knowing enough about one thing. That was kind of the primary driver. I didn't see myself become a manager and become a partner in consulting and do it for the rest of my life. So that was kind of a good point. I was a senior consultant and I felt like I'd done enough of it.
बी स्कूल के अंदर घुस के सबको होता है कंसल्टिंग करना है. McKinsey आ रही नहीं कैंपस में, I'm assuming there was somebody from BCG here as well, yeah. And 80 companies of the world, everybody is coming to Canada. कंसल्टिंग करना है because कंसल्टिंग का एक स्टीरियोटाइप है कि आप बैग लेके जेट अबे मेरे टाइम में तो जेट ही था. सॉरी, स्पाइस जेट में जा रहे हो, एयर विस्तारा में जा रहे हो, राइट? एयर विस्तारा इज द लग्जरी एज इट कैन गेट. तो वो एक होता है. बाद में समझ में आया दैट सो आई टुक अप दैट जॉब एंड विद इन फ्यू मंथ्स आई रियलाइज्ड, ओ माय गॉड, आई एम नॉट कट आउट फॉर दिस, right? Because there was too much of looking at other people's watch and telling them the time. I'm not criticizing consulting. All I'm saying is I wasn't meant for that. Which brings me to the question is identifying who you are, right? For example, at heart, I am a business development person. I'm a full-time like selu, which my wife doesn't like. वो कहता है यार घर पे भी constantly like selling ideas and all. क्योंकि sales में ज़्यादा time बिता लो ना तो इवन आप नॉर्मली बात करते हो तो ऐसा लगता है कि सेल्स पिच मार रहे हो. हाँ, कि कुछ तो बेच रहे हो आप किसी को. आई मीन दैट्स जस्ट ऑक्यूपेशनल हैजर्ड, कुछ कर नहीं सकते. तो आई फिगर्ड आउट वेरी अर्ली कि मुझसे ये प्रोजेक्ट एग्जीक्यूशन और क्लाइंट के सामने जाके जी हजूरी वो नहीं हो पाता है. विद इन 8 months आई डिसाइडेड दैट आई हैव टू मूव ऑन फ्रॉम हियर.